Hi there, welcome to Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. My name is Hetty the Entrepreneur, and welcome to yet another insightful conversation that I'm really looking forward to. As always, I'm not flying this plane on my own. I do have my co-pilot with me. Papa Biz, how are you?
Papa Biz here. No, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation because we're actually going to be having a conversation with a gentleman that we met recently at one of our workshops in Alex. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. I think what I'm looking forward to the most is that it's going to be an entrepreneurial plug. Something that you as entrepreneurs are watching can definitely be able to plug into. We've got none other than Bongani Paul Tungamirai, who is the founder of Referral Partners. Welcome to this conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this conversation. And I think usually before we get into the meat of the matter, it's always nice to know who we're talking to, a little bit about your background. We were chatting earlier on, and you mentioned that you studied at UCT. Mm-hmm. What did you study, and what led you to study at UCT?
Well, I'm actually originally from Zimbabwe, so I was born and raised in Zim. Went to the United States after high school. And I worked in the restaurant business there. So when I arrived, I started off as a dishwasher. I went to work where my brother was, and then went from one restaurant chain to another, from TGI Fridays, PF Chang's. Then after about 4 years, when I was there, I saw the people that I thought were successful were the guys that had degrees and were kind of followed the traditional path in life. So I called my mom and my dad and I said, I'd like to go to university. Would you guys sponsor me if I came back to Africa? And I went to UCT. And they said, okay, yeah, last chance, come on through. So, I mean, I'd gone to the States for university, but I never actually even attended one class. So luckily they agreed, and I applied to UCT, where all my friends from high school had gone to. And then got on a plane and came back to Africa and went to UCT the following year in February, yeah.
Sure. And what did you end up studying there?
I ended up studying politics, philosophy, and economics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Had you studied politics?
Is that right? Yeah.
I did, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What made you study that?
My parents are political. So my dad and my mom were both in the war in Zimbabwe for independence. And after the war, they both became political. My dad stayed in the army because he was a fighter, and my mom was a nurse. And then he ended up being the commander of the Air Force.
Wow!
At the end of the day, and my mom was an MP. So the political life and political blood has always been part of me, and that's what I kind of let's say leaned on when I was deciding on what my career path should be. But
and I just wanted to check, I mean, from this, how did you find the experience while in South Africa and at UCT? How did you find that period there?
UCT was like I said earlier, the first year was a bit of a blur. It was all just fun and games. Right up until my second year, my dad passed on.
Sure. Oh,
and then that's when the sort of entrepreneurial spirit in me kind of came out, because back home my family started fighting, and my dad's assets were frozen, and I had to figure out a way to sort of fund myself here at UCT. And that's when I decided, well, in the States, I mean, I was exposed to all these, how to make burgers and what have you, and that's what I did. I started selling toaster sandwiches at UCT.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so my second year, I just grabbed what they call a snackwich maker, and went to Pick n Pay, the local Pick n Pay. I had like maybe 50 rands on me, bought some bread, some chicken slices and cheese and tomatoes and onions, grabbed that up, went up to campus by the library, set up a little table, and plugged it all in and sat back and waited for my first customer.
My goodness.
Wow. And then from sandwiches, I went and bought a George Foreman grill at the
I know that. I remember that one.
Yeah, you know those grills?
Yeah.
He used to have one of
Then there's a little butchery close to the res that I was staying, which was Forest Hill, and bought these meatballs, mincemeat, and then started making burgers. So I went from sandwiches to burgers. And then eventually, before I knew it, it just started growing and growing, and we started, I opened up at Middle Campus, which was the law faculty.
Yes.
And then called a couple of reses, opened up at the res. So it kind of started to grow as a little thing.
Mushroom from there almost, eh?
Indeed, yeah. And then I did that all the way until I graduated. And then I got a job, so that little entrepreneurial chapter was closed then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite interesting. It's amazing how sometimes entrepreneurship comes as a result of necessity, but then it can actually spark something with us that we kind of run with thereafter. So after UCT and after, going through all that you did, you then entered, how did your career then roll out from there?
So I did, like I said, it goes philosophy and economics.
Yes.
And after that, I got a job at a company called IDC, Investment Data Services.
No, IDC.
Yes.
You remember IDC? Yeah. So I was doing fund valuations. So after graduating, and obviously it was either that or go back to Zim.
Yeah.
I said, let me get the job. I got the job, got my visa and everything.
Yes.
And then I started working. And then about, let's say, 2.5 years in, the company that I was working for wanted to get all the different departments to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they said on the last Friday of every month, we all meet up on the first floor and we all engage. And if you've got something that you do at home, you can come and try sell it or whatever to everybody else. So I used to sell Mazoe as well. And so I got Mazoe, which is like
That's the drink, right?
Yes, it's a concentrate juice.
It's the concentrated juice, yes.
From Zim, yeah. Very popular. We all grew up with that.
Nice.
And got the Mazoe, tried to sell that and didn't even sell one bottle. But I looked across and I saw the ladies who were selling hot dogs and they had a queue. And I was like, oh, by the way, I used to do burgers at campus. Let me bring out my George Foreman.
Yeah.
So I went to the garage the next Thursday before the thing and whipped out the Foreman, cleaned it up, put up a menu together, went on the internet, put things together, called my fellow colleagues. I said, okay, you're going to be the cashier, you're going to be the griller, and I'll be putting things together.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we sold out that next Friday.
Oh,
look at that.
Goodness,
And
look
then-
at that.
So did that for about maybe 2 more months. And then I decided, no, this is what I'm going to do for a living. I'm going to be a restaurateur. So called my brother and I said, listen, I want to start a business. I want to start a restaurant because he was also in the restaurant business in the States.
Okay, in the States.
So he understood the game. He understood exactly what I was trying to do.
Yes.
Came up with a name called Sticky Fingers Barbecue. And we started the first restaurant. I put in my resignation at IDC.
Just like that.
Yeah. And
Hey, this guy.
then 3 months later, I started my first restaurant, June 18, 2010, right, during the World Cup. So we thought we'd take
Yes.
advantage of that World Cup buzz.
Yes,
And
yes.
When Philip was here.
And Philip was here. But unfortunately, Philip was only going to town, and we were in the suburbs. So there was absolutely no business. And we chugged on until we turned the corner with that one. Made a mistake, actually, because our menu was ribs, wings, and burgers. And only when we made that mistakes with the ribs, that's when we started actually becoming popular. Yeah. So
See.
a bunch of different unexpected events.
Yes.
And I guess it's one of those where I remember during that period we actually had some friends of ours where they had started a business. I think it was around 2009, and that was the first time. All of these people who have studied now suddenly starting a business, and it didn't work out. And then there were guys who were like, "Oh no, man, those guys they tried, and they failed. A bunch of losers." And I remember I'd say to them, I don't think it's like that. I think, generally, from what I've read in these books that I would read a lot of Robert Kiyosaki's books, and he talk about how generally, the first business, it doesn't necessarily work out the way that you would have thought that it would work out. But the fact that you're able to start will give you a complete unfair advantage compared to any of your peers that were just sitting there and that have never started. And the lessons that you'd learned by not having it work out would actually serve well in future. Did you find that as well?
So with Sticky, which was, it actually was a struggle in the beginning, because I knew not the business,
Of course.
of restaurants.
Of course.
So everything was like learning through YouTube, and I was not really a chef. I was always someone who was given a formula, do this, and that's the product,
Yeah.
without really understanding the science behind it, and because obviously food is a science in itself, but the business was more, listen, I don't want to be behind a desk. I want to meet people. I want to be able to be free to go out into the sun when I want to, etc. But, there were still bills to be paid. There was a margin that had to be made. That's when I started learning about gross profit margins and, labor cost and your fixed. I mean, I read this book, How to Start a Business in South Africa.
Okay.
That really kind of changed my world. Almost
really?
the same way as like the Robert Kiyosaki books. But the way I approached it was like what Hedy said, when you've got absolutely no choice, you've quit your job. If this doesn't work, you almost kind of walk around saying to yourself, if it doesn't work, my life is over.
Yeah.
There wasn't like there's a second chance, there's a second opportunity awaiting. But that experience did happen down the road. So, Sticky grew from one restaurant to about, say, 10 restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Up until, we were even franchising at some point.
What?
And then we COVID it. And at that point, because of the lack of control, because franchising has got its trade-offs. You're not the guy that wakes up every day and goes, you sort of run the brand, the direction, you put systems and processes in, but ultimately it's up to the franchisee to make the business work.
Yes, they have to push.
Correct. So you give them the tools, you give them the IP, you give them the operations manual, but it's really also identifying the right franchisees that will have that drive, that passion to follow that recipe, but also put in that little bit of extra love. They need to wake up on time, to open and close the doors for the restaurant or the business. And if they don't lack that and they think it's just going to be automatic, that's where, unfortunately, you're going to hit a disaster. So when COVID hit, because we were no longer running our own individual restaurants, we were franchising completely. All our franchisees were making different decisions based on, of course, the different circumstances with their landlords, with their spouses, etc. And then everything went from 10 to, I think we had like 2. Come, say, about a year after COVID.
My goodness. And
then it was a matter of just sort of building back the business and coming back from that setback.
In entrepreneurship, often at times we plan for the best and we don't anticipate the worst. And when it happens, it can often kind of just sweep us off our feet because things happen that you just don't anticipate. How do you approach situations where a COVID hits, for example? Nobody could have predicted that. How do you approach situations where things are not quite working out the way you had originally planned? How do you move forward from there?
So, being in the restaurant business or coming from the restaurant business, it's a very detailed business. So you have to pay attention to every single detail. You are judged by everything. So if someone walks in and there's a little milkshake straw wrapper on the floor, automatically they say, this is not. So you have to. So I take that same approach with starting a business. Have I covered all my bases? You try and look at it in every single facet to say, let me make sure that I've closed any loopholes, I've closed any gaps that can occur. And then I think the main thing is, this is standard really, is you got to love it. If you don't love it, you're going to give up easily. If you don't have the passion for it, you're going to give up easily. That kind of works into what this new business we just started, which is Referral Partners. Whereby, because of these elements that we've gone through, we've now said to ourselves, let's try and see if we can't, help others to not go through those same, mistakes that we went through. So the concept of creating a proper business plan, making sure you've looked at every angle, you've covered, and you've made sure that every possibility, at least to the best of your ability, you've tried to anticipate.
Yes.
And you put it on paper as well, because a lot of ideas, we have them in our heads. But if they're not written down, you're never really going to, number one, you can forget about it. Number two, you forget the formula that you thought of that was good, but you might mix it up a little bit and go in the wrong direction and go on a tangent. So that's why with referral partners, it's a twofold business. It's obviously, firstly, it's helping you create your business plan, and you do your numbers as well, because numbers is something that I love.
Yes.
Especially with financials, income statements, business plans, cash flow, etc. So, and then obviously the second fold, which I'm quite excited to talk to you about at some point when we get there, is the opportunity side of the referral partners with the franchising. But yes, to answer your question, there's no way to really fully mitigate, but you can do what you can at best. And that's where the business plan comes in.
No, for sure. I recall that, we we actually saw you at the workshop that we had. It was in Alex?
Correct.
Yes, and we all commented about how, hey, but this is one gentleman here who has networked with the most amount of people. He has been very, very deliberate. And then when we spoke, and you told us about your business, and of course, the business plan side of it, and helping businesses structure themselves. And then you spoke about, obviously, when one has a structure, being potentially having them to be able to be funding ready, to connect to different funders. And I thought, wow, that's actually something quite different. How did you develop that side of the business?
So referral partners, it's an idea that really popped up a couple of years back. I was still running the restaurants and running the brand Sticky, and I managed to get a bank with Investec.
Oh, with Investec, okay.
Yeah. So I got a private banking account with Investec, and then Investec, my private banker, reached out to me and said, "Listen, we're starting this referral program.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll want to see if you guys can, get more people to join Investec Bank.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that don't know they can, but they can be, exposed to this, opportunity. So, we sat down, and then I spoke to the head of banking there, and it was, we had a nice little meeting, and I said to them, "Listen, I'm going to actually try and take this seriously."
Wow. Okay.
So number one, they obviously remunerate you
Yes.
for every successful referral.
Yes.
And with that, we said, okay, let's see if we can't actually make a business out of this.
Okay.
And that's where the name Referral Partners came in. So we said, let's try find more people who would be interested in finding and capitalizing on their networks to get them to open up an Investec bank account. But then we said, why stop there? Let's look at other opportunities that most people don't have exposure to.
Yes.
So we started talking to other partnership brands, we call them,
Okay.
which are complementary.
Yeah.
Some of them are lifestyle, some of them are just referral opportunities that pay. And we started developing what we call as a referral product or products. So besides just private banking, we've got, private gyms. You can go to, you can join golf clubs, you can join lifestyle social clubs, you can join, we've in some cases we've actually even created the product with the partner.
Okay.
To say, listen, you guys have got supercars. Can we create a product where somebody can have access to a supercar once a month if they pay a subscription? So a lot of them are subscription based. So we started creating this, let's call it a catalog of products in different industries and different genres. And we said, okay, with these products, we can actually get a whole bunch of partners to join our network. And by joining our network, they can refer these products and get paid for it.
Okay.
And that's where the second aspect of our business was born. So not only do we do the business plans, but in 99% of the time, the guys that come to us for business plans also sign up to become referral partners in terms of referring these different products to their network of friends. Because sometimes someone knows a rich uncle or a cousin that likes to travel or whatever, and says, hey, listen, there's this product that, you can subscribe to this place and you can have access to this network of game lodges.
Yes.
If you pay once a month, and you can go to this place or that place depending on what you want.
So it's also even almost giving access to market.
It's access to market, and it opens up people to a whole other world out there. In some cases, our partners get to experience some of these products too, especially when they give enough referrals. And the way it works is obviously you do the referral. If it's successful, obviously somebody has to qualify in some cases. Some cases it's just buying a product. But in a place like Investec, for example, you have to qualify by meeting certain criteria. You need to earn X amount. You need to probably be in a career that does this, etc. And should they qualify, then they get into access to that.
And then, how, if I can ask it like this, how would you help businesses that come in through you to be able to potentially find funders, if that's something that they were looking for, or to find funding, if that's something that they were targeting and looking for?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. It's we look at a profile of the person that's come in. Number one, what type of business are they are they in?
Yes.
Number two, who is part of this business? So we obviously go deep into it. Who are the shareholders? Who are the directors? 9 times out of 10, if it's, let's say, for example, a black female, that opens up the world to a whole bunch of different opportunities in terms of funding. In some cases, you can even get grant funding. And grant funding is money that you don't have to pay back.
Yes.
Okay, because I've often seen it, they're talking about grants and then funding and credit, and then, okay, so that's what grant funding is.
Yes. So you'll find in South Africa, a lot of people have no idea that there's a lot of money that's available.
Yes.
But they don't know where to get it.
That's what I find a lot, yes, yeah.
And in some cases, when they do know where to get it, they don't know how to structure. They see the checklist and they say, oh my goodness, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll never have time to get this. I don't even know what a feasibility study is. A 5-year forecast cash flow statement. Where am I going to start with that? So it's also, what I love about the business plan side is, number one, you're educating people. You're exposing them to all the different possibilities that were really at their fingertips, but they just never knew that they could do it. Number two is you're exposing them to the amount of money that's out there. I mean, the South African government really does try to fund people, especially the youth, and especially women.
That's true.
And especially people that were previously disadvantaged. If you fit those 3 criteria, there's really nothing that stops you from getting funding, unless, of course, you've got bad credit, you've mismanaged your finances in the past, but you can still come back from that too. The door is not completely closed, So we do show them to say, there, you can go to this fund, you can go to that fund, you can go to that fund. Those 3 are open for you. Those 3 will give you the best deal.
Yes.
In some cases, you can even get 100% financing.
Really?
100%. Which means you don't even have to raise 50% capital.
Yes.
Like in some cases, let's say franchising for restaurants. They want 50% unencumbered and 50% you need to raise yourself.
What does 50% unencumbered mean?
Unencumbered cash means for example, you have gotten a loan. Let's say you've got a house and you go and you get a loan against your house. That's now encumbered cash, meaning it's money that you owe somebody else. Whereas unencumbered means it's just cash that you saved.
Okay.
You've raised that money, you saved it, you don't owe anybody. Then the bank will come and meet you halfway with the other 50%. So it's almost like showing skin in the game. You've raised this money and saying, listen, I'm serious about this. I've got the cash. And then they'll say, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're going to raise up and match you there. So you got 500,000. They come with the other 500,000. That's 1 million. You can go start your business.
So I think that's the part that I like, because what I found, often people would come to us and, they've got businesses that they've been running, or they've got a business idea, and, they don't know where they could potentially, get funding. And of course, we talk with them in all seriousness in terms of, hey guys, first of all, just calm down. Your customer is your first funder.
Correct.
I mean, have you even started that your customer is your first funder? However, when it does come to getting funding into your business and to grow, etc., then it does become tricky in terms of who are all the different players out there and things like that, even though we know they exist. And what you're communicating also is that not only can you help individuals be able to become knowledgeable about different players within the market, you can also help them structure in terms of, this is how to put it so that you're funding ready, documentation-wise and things like that. But I'm assuming probably also in terms of, if you're in this segment, preferably these are the guys we need to talk to.
Correct.
If you're in fashion, we need to talk to those guys.
Correct.
If you're in farming, we need to talk to those guys. Because an individual on the outside, they wouldn't even know where to start.
And, thanks for that. It's not just that we send you to financial institutions or, development financial institutions or banking institutions. We also can try find you private funders. So
really?
angel investors, absolutely.
Really?
Remember, not everybody has, some people have got a great idea. There's a bunch of people out there that also have money that they're looking for a good idea.
Absolutely.
They're saying to themselves, where's the next big idea coming from? We haven't seen it. Where are we looking for it? But, that one, they are actually not involved. 9 times out of 10, they're not funding the idea or the business. They're funding the person. They're looking at that individual and saying, that guy, he's got what it takes to take it to the next level. He's going to be the guy that wakes up every morning and relentlessly pursues this idea. And 9 times, of course, the business needs to be sound, or the business idea needs to be sound. And if it is sound, then they will. Most angel investors are funding a person, not an idea, a business. And yes, absolutely. If people don't have the capital, they haven't raised the cash, that's what we do. We say, okay, again, that's why I said we look at the profile of the individual and say, who are you? Where do you come from? What's your business? What's your background? How much money do you have? If you got 0, we even look at the idea and help conceptualize the idea to make it be almost not needing as much money as they initially thought they did. So someone comes and says, I need let's say 5 million. Okay, let's break it down. What are you going to use the 5 million for? Okay, I'm going to use it for 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't really need that today. You can get that down the road. You don't need this today. You can do that down the road. You don't need offices. You can start at home. You can do this. So we cut that down from 5 million right down to maybe 1 million. Or even in some cases we can say, you know what, this business doesn't actually require for you to have your own plant and manufacturing. You can outsource initially. So it becomes almost like you start off as a middleman, and then down the road you can reduce your costs by then starting your own, say, factory or warehouse or whatever you. So we also help the business, especially startups, in molding the idea to make it feasible to actually start with as little barriers as possible.
That's quite interesting, because one of the things I have found with startups is it's exactly that. That's the area that they need the most help, because they really are not sure how to put the business plan together, how to actually make their business attractive to a potential funder, to actually be able to get the relevant help that they need. And often at times, a lot of institutions will say, hey, we don't fund startups. So then they're hitting a lot of kind of brick walls. What are some of the mistakes that you find as entrepreneurs that we make when we are kind of wanting to go in that funding journey?
So a lot of mistakes is something that I just touched on now, is people have almost, say, these delusions of grandeur, so to speak. They want to start with everything. They want to start with a secretary. They want to start with offices. They want to start with this. And we say, guys, look at some of these big businesses that started. Where did they start? In a garage.
Absolutely.
Why did they start in a garage? They started in a garage because they were trying to keep as minimal cost as possible, and they were developing the idea. And then in some cases, to be honest with you, Hetty, a lot of businesses, maybe 7 out of 10, we turn down because we say, okay, this needs more development, or you know what, this here is unrealistic. It's the ones that we see that have got teeth, and we say, okay, you're onto something here. We're going to help you mold it, and we're going to help you fix it. And also, a lot of say barriers of entry that people have with us as well is initially we used to charge a fixed fee for our business plans and our forecasts.
Okay.
Then we said, okay, you know what? For the ones that we really like, we're not even going to take money up front. We're going to take the risk just like you. And we're going to develop this idea. We're going to put this business plan together, and then we'll put our costs when you get the funding.
Oh, wow.
And then there's your...
That's amazing, hey?
That way we say to ourselves, okay, we're taking the risk, and today we're not going to get paid, that's fine. Obviously, we just need a little deposit so that somebody can show that they're serious about this. But we only get paid when the funding comes in, so we take that very seriously when we are going on that journey with you.
Wow,
Sure.
I love that.
I guess, as we, I've seen just the type of work that you guys are doing, currently, and it's very, very important. And as we looking to wrap up, this conversation, what in the work that you've been in, what message would you want to leave for, entrepreneurs that are there on the ground, on the ground, trying to hustle, and they've got the ideas that they're working with and things like that. And, perhaps, they don't know, but now through this podcast, that they should be approaching you. What type of message would you want to leave for entrepreneurs, on the ground?
I would say when you got a business idea, everybody has a business idea. It's the execution that really matters at the end of the day. If you don't try find a way to differentiate yourself with your execution, I mean, burgers are everywhere. It's how you execute the burger that, is going to get you that customer.
True.
But more than anything, if you don't believe in the idea, if you don't breathe, drink, sleep, and wake up every day thinking about what you can do different, what you can do better, if you're not doing that with that idea, it's probably not an idea you should really be trying to approach. Okay. You need to really sit down and say, I'm willing to dedicate my life to this thing.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only way it's going to survive and be successful, I think.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, not to pitch my business, but
pitch your business.
I mean, listen, if you think you're onto something and there's something that you think that can be developed and you don't know which way or direction to go, by all means, give us a shout. We're looking for those type of ideas. We're looking to develop those. We're wanting to get you funding. There's so many would-be entrepreneurs that just don't take that next step, and sometimes they've got a great idea, but they just sit on it.
True.
And a lot of people they got the security of a job or something, and they'll say to themselves, no, this is not, but there's still ways to do it whilst you're doing your job.
Okay.
Provided, of course, there's no conflict of interest. But if you've got an idea, come to us.
How do they reach out to you?
You can come to us on our email, hello@referralpartners.co.za. You can get in touch with us on social media. It's Referral Partners on Instagram and on Facebook. And we've got a WhatsApp number as well, 072-280-2219.
Okay. Fantastic. I think this has been such a great plug. Papa, what have been your takeaways from today's conversation?
I think my takeaway has been just the fact that, I mean, you can start off in one place and, you grow this idea. And I mean, it's no mean feat to grow a restaurant business from one chain. I mean, that's even difficult on its own to 10. And then COVID comes or something unexpected comes, and then one needs to, redefine themselves as well with the knowledge that one has, and almost taking that knowledge and plugging it back to help others, and giving information to others that can also lift themselves up. I always recall this quote in terms of, if you help enough people get what they want, then in turn you're able to get what you want. And it's been interesting to see just how many of us get pushed into that space. And yeah, man, all power to you. I mean, the work you're doing, it's very much needed, very important. I'm sure you're aware, but even us, the way we experience it, the amount of people who are out there doing solid business. It's just that they're so immersed and busy in their business that they don't actually know where to go to have somebody really have them move forward from a funding and a cash flow perspective, because they're so immersed in their business. And here's an avenue where, of course, they can make contact and be able to go through. So thanks for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really happy that we're able to have this conversation as well, because I find that the best type of person to help entrepreneurs move forward is fellow entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Just looking at your background and your own journey within entrepreneurship, it really equips other entrepreneurs, because you know what it's like on the ground, and you know what is required for them to be able to build their businesses to the level, to professionalize, to automate, and then, of course, to get them funding ready as well. So I think this is an incredible plug to all of the entrepreneurs that are watching. We definitely will put the details within the description box for referral partners, make sure that you do get in touch with them. And on that note, that brings us to the end of yet another podcast conversation on Monetize Your Business in partnership with FNB. Until our next episode, bye-bye for now.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
So we've heard all about mentorship, but are you looking for a physical platform that you can plug into? Well, I've got good news for you. Monetize Your Business workshops in partnership with FNB have been designed exactly for you. If you are an entrepreneur based within the township, then we are coming to you. Monetize Your Business workshops are a fantastic platform where you can get access to masterclasses, fireside chats, networking, and you can also pitch your business for an amazing cash prize, a good boost into your business to help you grow and scale your business. You also have an opportunity to exhibit your products and services to a buying customer base and audience. So if this is something that you're interested in, hurry right now, run, don't walk to www.monetizeyourbusiness.co.za.